What's up, and welcome in to Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe everything that we do and comment on all of our content. Plenty on the Chicago Bears, the surging Chicago Bears, the number one team in the NFC. Plenty on basketball with the Bulls and also college football content. So much on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Don't forget, we've got merchandise as well. The merchandise is right there for you. All you got to do is check out the link tree that's in the bio of our podcast, and boom, you're right in there, which are great stocking stuffers this time of year. And it's getting cold, especially in the Northeast and in the Midwest. Protect your hoodie at all costs. We've got hoodies that have under the hood logos on it as well. So make sure you check it out. It is time to talk some college basketball. A lot of great games on Tuesday. And also, we got to get into some college football conversation because Lane Kiffin is the hotness. There's so much talk about how Lane Kiffin went from Ole Miss to LSU. Let's talk about it with Tyler Aki from ESPN 1000 and Chicago's College Tailgate. We're going to review it all right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Let me call Tyler. And there he is, folks. It's Tyler Rocky. And Tyler Rocky teams with Shay Norling on Chicago's College Tailgate on ESPN 1000. Also, wherever you get your podcast, look for College Tailgate. And as always, we appreciate the time, Tyler. Thanks for coming on the show.
Anytime, Hoodie. I expect a call around draft time every year and then the tournament and then
Yes.
previewing the season. So anytime I can nestle my way in somewhere in between, I'm always there for you.
There's too much to talk about that I could not wait until February or March to talk to you again. So we needed to discuss some things. By the way, before we talk about some of the issues that's happening with LSU football and the college basketball slate, you and Shay are going to be out doing a remote broadcast, correct?
Yes, we will be out at Beck's in Lincoln Park, some of the best wings in the city from 9 to 11 a.m. this Saturday. So we're going to lead you into the Big 12 championship and Beck's, a Texas Tech bar, believe it or not. I didn't know they had those in Chicago, but a Texas Tech bar, and we'll get you ready for the Big 12 championship at 11.
Our city is amazing.
Yeah.
Once we're done with baseball season, you see the flags start coming out for some
Yeah.
of these college teams. It's like, oh, oh, oh. It's like,
And
so
then
it is
Iowa,
amazing.
Iowa,
Well, I know.
Iowa.
I know, it's too much. There's way too many Iowa bars in it. That is
Mhm.
true. Oh, but that's cool that you guys will be out at 9 a.m. on Saturday. We'll put that in the description of our podcast as well. But Tyler, I called you because I wanted to talk to you about a number of things. Obviously, the number one story in college sports is just this whole thing with Lane Kiffin. I have not heard your full thoughts on that. I thought you would share Lane Kiffin going from Ole Miss to LSU, and just like who he is, he's never comfortable in one spot too long. So he goes from Ole Miss to LSU. I want to get your thoughts on all of it now that he is the LSU Tigers head coach.
All right. I have two different thoughts on it from multiple schools, and I think they're kind of different. So I'll start with the LSU or the Lane Kiffin side of things. All right.
Okay.
The Lane Kiffin side is when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
And he has told us not once, not twice, not three times. He has told us 1,000 times who he is. The fact that we thought that this wasn't a possibility and that it was just a foregone conclusion, he was going to be an Ole Miss lifer, we should have never believed that. And the way he dragged out the whole process, even stretching past the SEC title game, right? Or not the SEC title, the Iron Bowl, I should say,
Yeah.
to see if he would be somehow in a backdoor way in the SEC title game was just Lane to a T. And I heard an interesting theory. This was actually from Jake Santos, who works with us at ESPN Chicago. And he
Yeah.
said, hey, don't be surprised if we see Auburn win the Iron Bowl, Kalen DeBoer and Bama split, and who saddles up in Tuscaloosa other than Lane Kiffin, right? Like that was all of a sudden there's potentially a third team that was going to enter the fray for the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. But so that's the Lane side of things, right? That is just that's who Lane's always been. It's who he's always going to be, and we probably haven't seen the last instance of this out of Lane Kiffin. The other part of this is the Ole Miss side of things, who decided they are not going to let him coach in the college football playoff. And I just think that is cutting off your nose to spite your face if you're Ole Miss, because two things here. One, you are talking about one of the best seasons in your program's history. and easily your best season in the modern era. You're talking about a team that has won 10 and potentially 11, 12, 13 games for the first time in program history. And we haven't seen this out of an Ole Miss team since like the 60s, where they've had a winning percentage look like this. On top of that, without Lane Kiffin, this team doesn't have a chance to win the playoff at all.
Correct.
None. Like, you can say what you want about Lane's X's and O's. You like him, you don't like him. It doesn't matter. Having the continuity of the staff, because it's not just Lane that's going to be gone. You're also going to be missing a good chunk of your offensive staff. So you're working with the shell of a coaching staff going into the college football playoff. And on top of that, too, if we start to see some names hit the transfer portal as a result of this, you may be left out entirely. We have semi-precedent of this with what happened with Florida State a couple years ago, where Jordan Travis was no longer a part of the team because of injury. Again, different injury versus portal, but was no longer a part of the team, and the committee deemed them not good enough to be a part of the 4-team playoff. Now, difference between 4 and 12, I get that, but Ole Miss heading into this week was 6. You're effectively playing, you only have 10 spots really for them, because you talk about the auto qualifiers, you're going to get either 2 group of 5 teams or a group of 5 in an ACC that occupy 11 and 12. So you have to nestle yourself in between 6 and 10 somehow. And I don't know if Ole Miss is, at the end of the day, going to be able to do that. It's going to be a very telling night tonight when we get the playoff rankings to see where and if this impacts the committee's thoughts on who Ole Miss is as a team. I think it probably will impact it to a degree, because the big conversation was really the only teams that had lost above them was Texas A&M. But are you really going to now? And so that was a team that potentially could have slid behind Ole Miss. But can you really tell me right now that you're going to put an 11-1 Ole Miss team without its head coach ahead of an 11-1 Texas A&M team who lost to Texas on the road? Like, there's no shame in losing to Texas on the road like that, especially a resurgent Texas team who has played much better down the stretch of this season. I can't do that. So the one team that you could have potentially jumped to give yourself a little bit of extra security heading into championship weekend, I don't think you can do that. So you've got that section of it. And I think they should have let him coach. And I think there's a human nature part of things. Think back to when you were in school, Hoodie. All right.
Yep.
And you have a homework assignment that is due tomorrow. You have a homework assignment that is due in 3 weeks, a project or whatever. What are you taking care of first?
I got to take care of the first part. Yes.
Right. Well, what's due tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Lane knows there's no championship promised to him at LSU. Sure, he may have gone to what he deems greener pastures, but I think there's a part of human nature where everyone was so worried, oh, he's going to have one eye off the ball while he's coaching Ole Miss in the playoff. He's going to be too focused on the LSU job. I think there's a part of human nature that tells you when you are in the heat of the playoff race, and if you're going for a national title, your focus is there. Your focus on winning a national title there, because that's the one that could be promised to you right here and now.
Well, okay, so I would say, I would counter and say that, well, maybe it was just a calendar that Lane Kiffin looks like, and maybe that Ole Miss looks like, because National Signing Day is big. Does he have Ed Ogeron in the mix to make sure everything is taken care of while he coaches Ole Miss to a national championship? Because ultimately, as a head coach, you want to be able to preside over it. You'll take some of your coaches from Ole Miss and bring them to LSU. You'll bring some of your players and bring them over to LSU. But you know how important that is for us as college football fans and programs, is to be able to be there for National Signing Day. Maybe, do you think the calendar has something to do with that?
For sure. No, it definitely does. It definitely does. But I think in this era of college sports where we now have finite roles for people to handle this stuff. I mean, we've got GMs in college sports now, and this is part of what they're tasked with doing, is handling all of this stuff that the head coach wants taken off of their plate. And I think this is like handling the signing day and just monitoring, all right, some of these recruits are thinking about flipping, or like, that's the GM's job. That I don't think is necessarily the head coach's job. The head coach right now can say, hey, like, I'm going to be your head coach. I still want you as a part of my program. Like, LSU's got some good recruits coming in right now. 5 stars. I mean, it's the same old song and dance with LSU. They're always going to be among the top 5, 10 in recruiting year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Ole Miss, where nothing is promised to you in the future, and frankly, I don't think this program's set up very nicely moving forward either. I think you're letting a potential championship situation slip out of your fingertips. I'm not saying I would pick them to win the national championship. I'm not even saying I would pick them to win a round in the playoff. But what I'm telling you is that your chances of winning a national championship for a program that is probably going to go back towards the bottom of the SEC after this season is as high as it will probably be for the next 10 years and maybe the next 20 years. And you're just going to let it slip away because you are playing a spiteful game with Lane Kiffin, who, in fairness, is playing the same spiteful game with you. But I think this could be your last stand for quite some time, and you got to try to capitalize on it.
As we talk this through, Tyler, I would say that if Lane Kiffin was allowed to stay, it's not like the kids would leave, right? It's not one of those things where I'm not this bowl game or this matchup doesn't matter because you're leaving. I don't think that kids would feel that way. They're still getting paid handsomely. That's one. But two, the coach is going to be coaching LSU, but also Lane Kiffin would still be there as your coach. Now, along the way, because it's Lane and he's slippery this way, I'm sure he's saying, stay with me. Let's try to win a national championship. But afterwards, you're coming with me. You're definitely coming to LSU. So I think that's part of it as well. I'll tell you what I said at the beginning. I understand Lane Kiffin going to another job. We all do it, right? There's so many people that we know in our lives, especially in this industry, that go from place to place because of money, finances, because of family, because of opportunity. I totally understand that. I'm just saying that I don't believe that Lane Kiffin is worth all of this trouble. No. That's what I would say, because I can understand if it was a national championship coach, say that was Saban who won at LSU, say if that was Les Miles that won at LSU. I totally understand that. But for him, Tyler, he's going to win at LSU. He's not winning it all at LSU. You know why? Because you and I in 4 years are going to be talking about who the next LSU coach is because of underachievement or his boredom of Baton Rouge. It's just who he is. He's never comfortable.
100%. The way that he is being propped up, and rightfully so to a degree. Like if you talk about all the candidates who are out there to be hired in this cycle, is he the best? Yeah, I would say so. And it's a pretty talented group out there. But let's not act like he's won a national title. Let's not act like he's won a playoff game. Let's not act like he's made a playoff. Let's not act like he's won a conference title because he hasn't done any of those things. Yeah. And he's being put into a salary grouping with the likes of Ryan Day and Kirby Smart, who have skins galore on the wall. They have not just conference titles, but national titles. Like, he's being propped up into this echelon of coaches that I don't think he has done anything to deserve. Like, even with this Ole Miss debacle now, he won't have won a playoff game. He technically wouldn't have made a playoff. He has never been the head coach, the sitting head coach of a playoff team. That is a fact. And he is being treated like one of the 3 best coaches in all of the sport. It's just, the math doesn't math for me in this situation here. It doesn't one bit.
So what do you think the peak of his success will be at LSU?
I don't think he wins an SEC. I don't. I think he'll get to the playoff because of the expansion and it being built out to 12 teams, and probably over his tenure there, it gets out to 16 teams even. So I think he gets to playoffs, maybe even wins a playoff game or 2. I don't think he wins a national title. I don't think he wins an SEC. I just think that the way things are being built in the SEC, I think you're seeing 2 new powers establish themselves. I mean, Georgia's always going to be Georgia. I think Bama's still largely always going to be Bama-ish. Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go. But I think the addition of Texas into the conference, the addition of Oklahoma into the conference makes life a little bit more difficult for him. And then Texas A&M, we see how much money they have, right? Like, and the way that these new revenue sharing models are going to work, it's going to even the playing field out for a lot of people. And I don't think that necessarily benefits LSU. I think he's always going to be able to go into the transfer portal because that was his calling card at Ole Miss, transfer to the SIP, come to the SIP. and it worked. And he's been very good at quarterback development. He got Jackson Dart, got him to play at a high level. What he's done with Trinidad Chambliss this year, who was a D2 player after Austin Simmons got hurt. And Austin Simmons, I think, was on a pretty nice trajectory too for his collegiate career before he got injured. So I think everything boiled together, things will be good with Lane. And I think he'll outlast maybe some of the projections of people who think he's only going to be there 3 or 4 years. But I don't think it's ever going to live up to exactly what LSU fans want. I think maybe he gets to a national title, but it's going to feel a little bit more pop-up than something sustained.
Lastly, before I ask you about the college basketball, I'm just I know that a lot of these schools, these blue blood programs have millions of dollars. If you're a booster, you got millions of
Yeah.
dollars to spend. I'm just wondering when the water will turn off. Because I look at a program like Arkansas, you and I might have talked about
Yeah.
this way in the past. I'm like, Arkansas has more money than a lot of these schools. They don't spend like that. Calipari is one thing. I'm talking about on the football side.
Yeah.
It's just like I was very underwhelmed by the hire they had at Arkansas for a team that has so much money, Tyler, and a lot of these things do. I just wonder, when will the boosters say, yeah, getting to the playoff isn't enough. We're not going to spend the kind of money to support your program until we feel like you can win the national championship? Because as much as we love college athletics, and if you're a booster, man, there has to be a limit at some point, right? You could be a Fortune 500 company. It's like, oh, we got plenty of money that will allocate to the state university.
Mhm.
But at some point, don't you say, yeah, you're in the middle of the pack of the SEC. Yeah, you're a good football program, but you're not great. So I'm not going to spend as much money. At some point, it's got to give, because this is a never-ending cycle, especially in this NIL era.
You got to remember too, we're talking about billionaires that are the ones
Yeah.
ponying this up, right? Not millionaires, billionaires that are ponying this stuff up. And billionaires are always looking for some sort of return on investment. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? There's no return on investment on NIL. You are giving that money to player X, and the return on investment you get is personal happiness that your sports team is winning, that your alma mater is winning. And that there is no financial gain per se on that. So at a certain point, I think you're right. I think you will see the water start to turn off on some of these. You won't see it completely shut off, because there's just going to be a new billionaire that maybe steps in to some of these. But when you look at Arkansas, I think is a perfect example. You've got Walmart, you've got Tyson Chicken, and
Yeah.
you've got Jerry Jones. Like those are 3 multi-billion-dollar entities that you're talking about there. But at a certain point, you want to see some sort of return. Arkansas hasn't given you that return, and I don't think Ryan Silverfield, the hire that they made, is
Oh,
going to change any of that. You're talking about an 8-4 season at Memphis that he just had, and now you're asking him to go lead Arkansas and try to bring them back to SEC prominence. You better have every NIL resource available to him, roster-wise, because if they don't have that, like, unless they can be the Texas Tech or the Texas A&M and just have an influx of cash to spend, you don't have any tactical advantage on the field right now. You don't, because of who the head coach is. So it's going to be fascinating to watch with Arkansas, because I think the Cal hire was a no-brainer. Like, you do that, and I think you have started to see that play itself out positively for Arkansas. But these other, the football side of things, which is the front porch of the university and is frankly what everyone in the state of Arkansas truly cares about,
yeah.
that needs to fix itself quick. And look across the country. Quick fixes have been everywhere. Everywhere. We've seen, look at Indiana. You get
Yeah.
one thing right, and it'll fix itself in a hurry.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. It really is. Same thing with A&M. A&M hired Mike Elko, made a good hire. All of a sudden, they're going to be in the playoff.
It's amazing. Well, you make that one hire, you get support, and all of a sudden you got a program.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a team. You actually have a program, at least for a little while.
Look at Indiana. You wiped
Indiana.
out 100 years of bad history in 2
Yeah.
years because you got the right coach. It feels sustainable. You've you've had the money and now you're choosing to spend the money. I mean, Indiana's got no shortage of billionaires that are willing to pony up there. And look what happens. You're the number 2 team in the country, have a chance to be the 1 seed heading into the college football playoff too. And I don't see Indiana going anywhere for the foreseeable future. Do you? I mean,
no.
There's something built there overnight.
Want to talk to you about the center of the college basketball universe, Tyler Aki, and that's Chicago. Apparently, I mean, so Arkansas. No, it was So Arkansas plays on Thanksgiving. So does Northwestern. I think that was cool. You get Duke was in here. And also very quietly after Thanksgiving, here comes Oklahoma Marquette at UIC. Porter putting the money up to book the UIC Pavilion, Credit Union One Arena. And so I'm proud to say that, hey, in our city, quality, restaurant quality, college basketball.
Rogers Park must have been booked for whatever reason. Like, what are we doing here? I saw that too. So I have a couple friends that are Marquette grads, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Marquette's playing in the city this week. Like we're looking to go." And I was like, "Oh, they must be at Allstate, or they must be at the United Center. So where are they playing? UIC. What?" I was like, really? I didn't realize this was an open booking that you could just pop on down. I would have thought maybe like with Marquette being the big like Milwaukee market to come on down. Like, why not Wintrust? Why not? I think DePaul was vacant that day, but it's. Listen, man, it is HQ of the basketball world right now. It feels like you had Bama and Illinois play a great game a couple weeks ago here. And then you got the news too. The Champions Classic is coming back here next year. So it's always good when Chicago turns into a college basketball town, because at its core, this is a basketball city. When the basketball is good here, people show out. Like, I was at that game, the Bama Illinois game, and I'm telling you, Hoodie, like, I went to some of the I never went to any of like the Jordan Run playoff games, but I went to some of those at like the peak of Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. And when the United Center is rocking, there is no better venue in this city than a rockin' United Center, whether it's the basketball there, whether it's the hockey there. When you get that place rolling, there's no better venue in the Chicago area. And that place was rocking. Like, it had shades. I had flashbacks. I'll never forget. The loudest I've ever heard an arena was Bulls Heat in the playoffs. Nazi Muhammad shoves LeBron James. Remember that? You remember that play?
I do.
I've never heard an arena louder than that. I've been to college football venues. I've been to big time basketball venues. I've been to like Wrigley Field in the playoffs. Never heard of a venue louder than not after Nazi shoved it. I'm telling you, those Illinois fans, even though their team lost in that game, deserve a ton of credit, because they showed up in that game and it was just as loud as some of those Bulls playoff runs. I swear. Like, it was incredible. It was awesome. It felt good to have big time sports back in the city.
Good for Illinois. There was a time that they had the balls to play UIC, but apparently that's not interested anymore after UIC started whooping that ass a little bit. So now they will not play UIC. But good for Illinois. Good for them. Yeah, baseball, soccer, basketball, won't play us. Won't come to the city to play. That's okay. It used to be a good rivalry, not anymore. So I'm just happy to see Chicago in that spotlight, because we're both big college basketball fans. So we got some quality basketball on Tuesday night. I do want to ask you about the Big Ten, because the open-ended question is the Big Ten for real? Because we get Iowa, Michigan State tonight. What do you think of that game and your overall thoughts of the Big Ten lately?
Yeah, I think Iowa's played pretty well, and they made a nice hire with Ben McCollum. Bennett Sturts, I think, is you saw him play back when he was at Drake. Like, I mean, the guy can hoop, man, and they're kind of bringing that sort of Drake style to to Iowa and the Big Ten. And it's like, listen, they're not gonna get ready to play games in the 40s and 50s. But they still
great game as a play-by-play guy, because the ball's going to four corners.
Have some stories, man. Time. You better have some storylines. It's like you're calling a soccer match. But I do think that this Iowa team, like, they've got a little bit of juice to them. Like they're not afraid of anyone. They're off to, I think, like a 7-0 or 8-0 start to the
Hmm.
season. And then on the flip side, like Michigan State has been every bit as good as you could have hoped for so far this season. They've got the big win against UNC. They're undefeated as well to start the season. And you get into Big Ten play. You also have that game against Duke later on this weekend too. Like you've got a chance to have a really solid team. You brought Cohen Carr back, Jeremiah Fears too. Like all of everything's sort of coming together now with this Izzo team, where you've got the pieces in place, veteran guards, just veterans that understand now too what it's like to go through the length of a college basketball season. And Izzo's never going to dive headfirst into the portal. And that's fine as long as you are developing guys and you're getting guys to stay. And he's proven that he can do that. So if they keep playing at this clip, I think this Big Ten is very for real. Like, because Michigan State's not even like at the tippy top of it. Right now, I think head and shoulders above everyone is Purdue and Michigan. And I would probably give a slight edge to Michigan right now. The run that they went on last week of the Players era is one of the most dominant 3-day stretches in regular season college basketball history. Like that's legitimately how good it was. You weren't just winning games against top 25 teams. You were winning games by 30, 40 against not just top caliber teams and talent, but top
Gonzaga.
caliber coaches and programs too. So yeah, I mean, when's the last time you've seen Gonzaga wiped like that? Not even like the national championship against Baylor was that bad.
Well, not
And
in
that
the few, definitely not in the few
in
era.
the
I've
few
never
era,
seen
like
to lose by 40.
yeah, like
Crazy.
that game against Baylor in the national championship in 2021 is the most embarrassing loss I think I've seen Gonzaga ever suffer. And this dwarfed it. I get the stage wasn't as big. You're going national championship to a ballroom in the MGM Grand or whatever,
Hmm.
but the final score when you're winning a game like that by 40, I mean, you're opening some eyeballs at that point.
Do want to ask you about a couple other games that we're going to get? We're going to get Florida Duke,
Mm-hmm.
and Kansas UConn.
Yeah.
You take either one of those. I just think that those are high quality games here early December.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know the Kansas and UConn game is not part of this, but I love the challenge games. We've got it
Yeah.
used to be the ACC Big Ten. I always loved that. It's moved to the ACC SEC, which I think is still tremendous. And I think the SEC, the way that they've become one of the kind of premier program or premier conferences in college basketball now, it's like it's not just Kentucky anymore. It's you've got Florida, the defending national champions. You've got Alabama, who's made Final Fours lately. You have um, obviously Kentucky's still a part of this mix here. Auburn's
Yeah.
been in Final Fours and has stayed prominent in the rankings despite the fact that they've undergone a coaching change. And let me tell you about another school that I was kicking myself the second we hit the end on the recording when we previewed the college basketball season, because you asked me for a sleeper team and I
Yeah.
forgot to give you this team. So I'm going to give it to you now, even though I don't think I'm late to the party yet, but they're starting to catch some eyeballs. They've got a ranking next to their name, and that's Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt went out and won Atlantis. And they are, I think, the next era of Alabama in this conference. They score in bunches. They're going to be putting up, I mean, I think their first 3 games, they scored 100 plus in all 3 of them.
Hmm.
They're going to put up 90, 95 points a game. And Mark Byington is a tremendous coach who has all of his guys now in that program. It would not shock me if Vanderbilt went out and won the SEC. Like they are that good. Now, there's going to be nights where the faucet turns off and the threes aren't falling, but offensively, they are, for what I've seen so far this season, it's like them and Michigan as the 2 best offensive teams that I've seen in the country so far this year. So watch out for Vanderbilt. That's another team in the SEC that can make some noise. But getting back to your original question about like the matchups, like
Yeah.
Kansas and UConn, that is a tremendous early season game. And UConn's a team that's really challenged themselves early on. You played the game against Arizona. You lost that game, but it was a hard-fought game. You played the game against Illinois the other day too. And I'm trying to remember who they played. They played someone the same day as maybe it was Texas Tech that they played the same day as Illinois and Bama, but they have really challenged themselves early on in this schedule. And I think it's part of what Dan Hurley sees with where the Big East is right now. Like the Big East, I mean, St. John's hasn't looked as good as we thought they might be. And again, there's always going to be growing pains with St. John's because it's a transfer team.
Yep.
You're going to go through some of those warts early on in the season. But Dan Hurley, I like the challenge that he's given himself because he trusts what his team can do in the Big East week in and week out. And then the other game too with Florida and Duke. Yep. I mean, Cam Boozer, we talked about it when we were previewing the season. He's every bit as advertised, man. I mean, you're talking about the guy who's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft when it's all said and done. And just production, and winning. It's what he's done his entire life. And I get that he may not always, which is weird because you think son of a former NBA All-Star would just be talked about differently. Like he gets like grandfathered into a different level of conversation, maybe even one that he's not deserving of. But that's not the case with Cam Boozer. He, for some reason, I feel like doesn't get looked down upon, but doesn't get mentioned as much as the guys like AJ DeBansa and Darren Peterson, who are fantastic players. But Cam Boozer is every bit in their tier because he wins at every level. He produces at every level, whether it was junior high, high school, AAU, the Peach Jam stuff, internationally, like everything. He has been that good. And the fact that we are still kind of like, oh, is he the number 1 pick? He's not the number 1 pick. He's the number 1 pick. He is the number 1 pick. And I get that we're claiming this on December 2nd, but just I'm claiming this off of the track record.
He's the guy.
Follow the track record with him.
Yeah.
He wakes up and he gets you 23 and 10. Like that's the guy that you're getting. And it's going to play at the next level. And he's a stud. And damn it, he makes Duke likable.
that is a mouthful from you. My God, what an admission.
They've had these guys notice a different guy is not at the helm anymore. And all of a sudden they're it's like Marcus Freeman, right? Yeah. All of a sudden Notre Dame is cool and likable, right? And all of a sudden Shire takes over the program and you get Cooper Flagg. I loved watching Cooper Flagg. Good and likable. Cam Boozer. I love watching Cam Boozer. Good and likable. Who's the missing link here, huh, Hoodie? Who's the missing link?
I know what you're saying, and I will tell you, maybe I didn't see it. I didn't see K at these games.
I didn't either.
I didn't see it, but unlike when I watched the other night, Temple Villanova, who's there? Jay Wright, right there on the broadcast. What's going on, fellas? How's it going? They just thought like, no one asked you, Jay. No one asked you. And I like Jay Wright, but again, let the coaches that are there now, let them take care of it. Don't be hanging around, looking for a microphone, being a moth in the camera light saying, don't forget about me. Let the next coaching staff take care of it. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. No, I'm right there with you. By the way, speaking of Jay Wright, a couple weeks ago, you'll love this. Mm-hmm. You know what I got to see in the flesh a couple weeks ago?
No.
I got to see in person an eye jacket, a CBS eye jacket. Ian Eagle was on the call for Bears and Steelers. I was at the game. We met up at halftime, and I saw it in all its glory, the eye jacket. And I was like, this just looks even better. Like you see sometimes people and things on TV, and then you see it in person and it's even prettier. That's what this is, Hoodie. That's what it was, man.
People don't understand the prestige of CBS. And when you put on that jacket with the little eye right there at the bottom, that is the best. That is top-notch, top-shelf broadcast excellence when you put on the CBS eye jacket. Oh, my God. That's the best. You should have taken a picture of the eye jacket.
I've got a picture of me with Ian. I'll forward it your way.
Please send me that so I can just spend time just being able to just touch the screen, just being able to just say, that's broadcast excellence, the CBS eye jacket. All these other networks tried to copy it, like NBC with the Peacock. They did that for a few years, but nothing, Tyler Aki. That's when you've made it to the top of the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Even Little Bird does not have that. He does not have that. Even
No, he got his spin. He got his spin at it. One of his first network gigs was he was doing, I think it was like the Friday night games on CBS, and then he got like the 2:30 non-big time SEC game for a little, or no, it was like maybe like the 11 or like the 6:30 like non-big time SEC game. I mean, those guys could have outfitted their town's prom with the amount of eye jackets that they had if they wanted to.
If I were you, I would have put it on.
Can I
do you mind if I just for a minute? Just the eye jacket, the prestigious CBS eye jacket. Big fan. One day, I'm going to talk to Jiggets and see if I can wear his. And Jiggets had that. He was doing these Sports Sunday wrap ups. As you back in the day. Go to YouTube, folks, and be able to check that out. You're watching this on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Just look for the Sunday. Like the little sports breaks they used to have in New York, and Dan Jiggets was there with his CBS eye jacket telling you about tennis, breaking it down, giving you a little tennis update. Like the epitome of broadcasting. I loved CBS over the years. Well, Tyler, I'm glad that we're able to connect because there's just too much good college basketball in our city. Not in our city because Loyola sucks. But by the way, Drew Valentine, be careful. Careful now. That's not good over there. But we had a chance to see some great college basketball in the Chicagoland area as well as taking place tonight. So, yes, I will be calling you again before March Madness.
Cannot wait. I'll be waiting, sitting by the phone. Can't wait to talk some college hoops.
I figured you need the platform. Shay's not giving it to you. Sylvie's not giving it to you. Why can't I give it to you? Let's see and I have a chat, right?
There you go. Always appreciate you, Hoodie.
Don't forget to go to Chicago's College Tailgate, wherever you get your podcast. Check it out. It's out weekly on the ESPN Chicago app and, of course, on ESPN 1000 on Saturdays. Thanks so much for checking out Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Like, share, subscribe, comment to what we're talking about with our college sports conversation on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood.